Hey friends, what's up? My name is Pamela. I am an acne specialist and I do specialize in the treatment of multicultural skin concerns. Just think of me as your internet esthetician. And I am here to answer some of the top skincare questions that y'all have as beginners. I did post that 2 months ago and just didn't follow through with the video, my bad. But we're here now, that's what matters. Let's get into it. First question. This is a good one. I know you're supposed to focus on one issue at a time, and I know skin barrier comes first. Absolutely correct. But in what order do we solve the next ones? Acne, blackheads, hyperpigmentation, pores. When it comes to first addressing multiple skin concerns, we do want to look at, is one skin concern causing the other? So in this example, we're dealing with both acne and hyperpigmentation. The full term for hyperpigmentation is PIH, or post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. This refers to the darkening of the skin that is a result of some type of inflammation. Usually it's acne or eczema. So it's pretty safe to assume that the acne would be causing the hyperpigmentation. Therefore, the first issue that we would want to address is definitely the acne. Once we can get that under control, we can stop new hyperpigmentation from forming and focus on treating the existing hyperpigmentation. When it comes to blackheads and pores, the issue is pretty similar. We want to see, is one causing the other? So for those people that do have oily skin, generally the pore size does tend to be a bit larger. Now, realistically, there's not much that we can do about that. We can help to refine the appearance of pores so that they don't look as large, but it's genetics at the end of the day. With a pore being the size that it is, it does make it a lot easier for oil to get trapped in that pore and cause congestion. This type of congestion can result in acne or blackheads, basically inflammatory or non-inflammatory comedone. So while there's not much that we can do to address the size of the pore, we can do things to keep the pore clean, and that in turn will help to prevent blackheads. I hope that helps. Great question. On to the next. How do you deal with dry patches? Mine are mostly around my mouth, but sometimes I get really dry around my eyes too. Great question. Whenever I have a client with really dry, flaky skin in the treatment room, my go-to super easy treatment is dermaplaning. Now, oftentimes dermaplaning is just thought of as sort of glorified face shaving, but that's not really what it's for, at least in professional settings. Dermaplaning is manual exfoliation using a medical grade scalpel, so it is amazing to really help lift up that dead skin. I love doing it on my clients. I do find that it makes the surface of the skin so smooth and even, so one area isn't flaking up more than another. Now again, that's in a professional setting. What we can do is add more hydrating products, so we're talking about a hydrating toner or a hydrating serum into the routine, and then follow that up with a more occlusive moisturizer or eye cream. That's going to help lock in the hydration. At night, you can even try slugging, which is essentially where you'll take a little bit of Vaseline and apply that as the very last step after moisturizer. Essentially, this is going to create a waterproof barrier, so whatever you're putting underneath is staying locked in. That'll also help out with the dry, flaking skin. Hope this helps. Next question. This one is actually more of a tip, and I think it's fantastic, so I'm gonna read it out loud. When I started taking my skincare routine seriously, thanks to you, I think I started doing too much at once because I was overly excited. Understandable. Maybe if I were to tell myself something 3 months ago, I'd say to start slow with cleanser, moisturizer, and sunscreen, and then gradually add more stuff like toner, serums, etc. Fantastic tip. You can't go wrong with the basics, which are cleanser, moisturizer, and sunscreen. You also can't go wrong with hydration. So hydrating toner, hydrating serum, it's something that everybody can benefit from. I think where it starts to get a little bit complicated, and it's not the consumer's fault, it really is on the brand, is when they're labeling their product as a toner and saying that it can be used every day, twice a day, but maybe it is exfoliating, maybe it's a little bit harsh on the skin stripping, or maybe it does contain ingredients that aren't really beneficial for your skin type or your skin concern, but maybe you heard, hey, toner's a good thing and we should be using it. So skincare can get a little needlessly complicated, so sticking with the basics is a great approach. Next question. Now this one is very interesting. Can the hand soap you use before you wash your face affect your face? Now, I reserve the right to change my answer in the future as more information comes out, more studies and such, but at this point, I would say no, unless, I would say the only way that it would really affect your skin is if you aren't fully rinsing off the soap and applying some of that onto your skin when you're washing your face. Does that make sense? I think the soap that you use is definitely affecting the skin on your hands more than it would the skin on your face. But also I would say after you wash your hands, dry them with a clean paper towel and then start your skincare routine. I do know that there are some brands that have come out with acne safe hand soaps, and I suppose there could be some truth to it, but kind of deep down it sounds a little gimmicky to me. I certainly believe that you can clear your skin, have it super healthy, and be using regular hand soap. But great question. Y'all are making me think, and I like that. Next question. How do you layer products? What do you need or really don't need? What active ingredients can you combine? Okay, 3-part question. Let's start with the first one. How do you layer products? So in general with skincare, we do want to apply from thinnest to thickest, always starting with cleanser and ending with moisturizer, unless it's the morning routine. Then we're going to add sunscreen as the last step after moisturizer. In a simple routine, even if we are going a little bit above the basics, we'll say cleanser. If we're double cleansing, that would be your oil cleanser, your makeup remover, micellar water type first. After that, followed by a water-based cleanser to make sure that your skin is effectively clean and prepped for your following products. If you're going in with a toner, that will typically be next. Some type of serum or treatment step will follow that. Finish off with moisturizer, and you're done. That's a simple 5-step routine. If you are using a sheet mask or a wash-off mask, it can be a little bit different. So if we're adding in a scrub that I would really only recommend for people with normal to dry skin, you would do your scrub after your cleanser before toner, because these are all going to be leave-on products. So you don't want to apply that in the middle and then end up rinsing it off, because you're going to wash away some of those other products that were meant to be left on longer, if that makes sense. When it comes to a sheet mask though, you do want to keep that essence that the sheet mask is soaked in on the skin. You never want to wash any of that off. So since sheet masks also create an occlusive type of barrier, they're going to help to lessen the evaporation of products so that you're getting a better bang for your buck whenever we create that sort of occlusive layer. So sheet mask, for example, would go after your toner and serum step but before your moisturizer, because again, we want to apply skincare in order from thinnest to thickest, and the essence that the sheet mask is soaked in really won't be able to penetrate effectively over a cream like a moisturizer. I know that was a lot. If you're still confused, y'all, you can even Google like 10-step skincare routine. You don't by any means have to follow all of the steps, but it will give you a proper guideline of which step goes first based on what you have in your current routine. It's not that complicated. It is, but it isn't, and it doesn't have to be. Next part of this question, this is a good one. What do you need and really don't need? I will tell y'all the absolute God's honest truth. When it comes to treating the skin as just an organ, what type of skincare products do you really need? Cleanser, sunscreen. Those are the 2 non-negotiable necessities. Depending on your skin type and your climate, some people can get away with not using a moisturizer. I don't necessarily recommend that. I still think everybody can use one, but need? No. If you have really oily skin and you are in a humid climate, it's not 100% necessary to use a moisturizer. Like I said, still definitely recommend, but necessity? No. However, if you are someone on the opposite end, let's say with dry skin that's in a dry climate, moisturizer is absolutely going to be a necessity for you, because your skin's going to feel so tight and uncomfortable all the time without it, you know? The basics are really all you genuinely need. Now, if you do have a skin concern like that you're trying to treat, like eczema, acne, hyperpigmentation, congestion, etc., it might also be a necessity to add in a treatment product, but that's more up to personal preference. Okay, last part of this question. What active ingredients can you combine? This is a very long list, so I am going to refer you to Google because it's kind of impossible to answer like everything in one video, because there's millions of ingredients out there, you know? I will say for the most part, when you are using a retinoid or something like benzoyl peroxide in the routine, that's when you want to be a little bit smarter about what you are combining, because those ingredients don't necessarily play well with others, at least in the same routine. Now, you can absolutely exfoliate and use a retinoid, and I do strongly encourage it, just not in the same routine. So you want to keep one in the morning and one at night. That's perfectly acceptable. Or if you're not doing it every day, do one on an off day, you know? One ingredient though that I will say don't combine with another is hypochlorous acid and vitamin C. Those can't be combined together if the hypochlorous acid is still wet. You want to make sure that that is dried down first, and then it is okay. There's like a lot of nuances, a lot of rules. I guess skincare is complicated then. All right. Let's answer a couple more. How do you fade post-acne marks or hyperpigmentation? Tyrosinase inhibitors and sunscreen. What are some examples of tyrosinase inhibitors? Very popular example that's also an antioxidant is going to be vitamin C. I do recommend this. I think everybody can benefit from vitamin C, but that's going to be better at lifting hyperpigmentation on more fair tones. So usually if the mark is more reddish. If it ends up being darker brown or almost a black color, so for my friends with more melanated skin, that's when I think it's going to be better to look at ingredients like tranexamic acid, licorice root, kojic acid, etc. These are going to be a lot better at targeting that overproduction of melanin and really lifting that pigment. Vitamin C is better to really just provide an overall even skin tone, but for darker skin tones, I do recommend really keeping an eye out for some of those other ingredients, especially when they are all combined together in one formulation, because I really am not a big fan of those single ingredient like niacinamide and that's kind of all it is. No, why not combine them all together in one super efficacious formula so it can really get the job done, you know? I also find that oftentimes pitted acne scarring is referred to as acne marks or hyperpigmentation when those are two different things. And for pitted acne scarring, really the best thing for that is going to be microneedling or a spicule peel. We can go into spicules another time. But hey, if you are in New York City and you want to be seen by me, I do offer that treatment, liquid microneedling. I'll have my website linked in the description if y'all are ever interested. Oh, this one is super important. I've heard you say to incorporate a skincare product, you should do a patch test. I was wondering if you could explain how in a video. Yes, I can, and I'm so sorry that I haven't done this sooner. Let's say that I just got this new serum in the mail. I'm so excited to try it out, but first, I do want to do my due diligence and patch test. You're going to take just a little bit of this product out, and on an inconspicuous area, some people will say, you know, apply it to the side of the face. Personally, I don't think that's necessary. I think that you can still patch test without putting the product directly on your face. I like to go right here for the skin on the inside of the elbow and /or right behind the ear. So you'll just take a little bit of that product and rub that in. Now you want to wait about 24 to 48 hours. We're going to be looking for redness, irritation, stinging, burning, bumps, hives, any sort of reaction that you don't want on your face. And it's going to be super important to make sure that you're not rinsing this off. Now, another tip that I like to do, and this kind of goes back to the combination question, if I want to make sure that this product fits in my routine nice and evenly, I'll go ahead and on the other arm, do a little practice routine. So I might start off with my cleanser just on this area, rinse that off, apply a bit of the serum, and finish off with my moisturizer right here, or whatever the steps are in your routine. Like I said, you can also do this on the skin right behind the ears. As long as you are keeping the product untouched for at least 24 hours, then you patch test. Really good question. Someone said I have very sensitive skin. How do you know which acid serums work? I would say focus on really gentle, hydrating products. You can't go wrong with those. When you say acid, I'm assuming that we're talking more exfoliation. So for really sensitive skin, you want to go for chemical exfoliants that do have a larger molecular size and avoid the ones that don't. So for someone with super sensitive skin, glycolic acid has the smallest molecular size out of all of the AHAs. That's one that you want to stay away from because that means it's going to penetrate pretty quickly into the skin and may cause irritation. The largest molecular size for AHAs is going to be mandelic acid. That may be a better option for you. But really the best exfoliants for super sensitive skin are going to be PHAs or LHAs. PHAs are polyhydroxy acids, so they are a combination of multiple acids and they are pretty similar to AHAs, but again, way more gentle, and they do tend to be pretty hydrating too. LHAs are going to be derived from BHAs, but again, a larger molecular size, so it is going to penetrate more slowly and therefore be more gentle on the skin. Now, if you also want to avoid all of those entirely and just go for the most gentle form of exfoliation, I would say skip the acids and focus on enzymes. This is going to be super great for those that do have rosacea or even eczema. The two type of enzyme ingredients that we do want to look out for are going to be pineapple and papaya. Those are the ones that have been thoroughly researched and approved by the skincare community. Sometimes they might be included in a product name, but if they're not and you do want to go ahead and turn around the ingredients to look out for them, usually pineapple will be listed as bromine and papaya will be listed as papain. So that's how you know if those two ingredients are in the formula. Okay, let's do the last question because this video is getting long. This person asked quite a few and I respect that. They said, what to do if your skin is oily in the summer and dry in the winter? Can niacinamide cause purging as well as just using a bunch of new skincare? What does having occasional pimples mean? How to know if you have acne-prone skin? Does everyone have hormonal acne? Sorry for all the questions, I just have so many of them. I love you. I love you too. If you can't do all of them, please at least answer questions 1, 2, and 4. I got you. So what do you do if your skin is oily in the summer and dry in the winter? Well, that sounds like combination skin to me. And the best answer is to treat them separately. So in the summertime, when your skin is more oily, treat it like it's oily. That means maybe incorporating some oil control products like a BHA or like niacinamide. And in the winter, we want to swap over that moisturizer that was maybe more gel or water based in the summer for something that's a little bit creamier, so it'll help with the dryness. And also prioritize hydration, although you can totally do that year round. If it's ever spring or fall and you're finding that maybe the T-zone area is super oily but the cheeks are really dry, I know it's not the best or most realistic practical answer, but even then it's still going to be super helpful to treat those two areas of the skin differently. I wish more brands had combination moisturizers. I've only seen one that did it, and it was one that was for like the day it had some gel and then at night it had a cream. That's going to be fantastic for combination skin. So in the T-zone you will want to apply that more gel water-based type of formulation, and then on the cheeks where it tends to be a bit drier, focus on the creamier moisturizer. Also for combination skin, I do think that incorporating a wash-off mask is going to be fantastic, especially one that does help out with oil control. If you don't want to like have a bunch of different products and be changing your routine season to season, you know? It's really, really easy to spot treat with a mask. And when I say spot treat, I don't mean just apply it on one spot. I mean like apply it in the full T-zone area and then use a different mask on the other side. That'll help to address both problems at the same time, you know? And when in doubt, sort of go for products that are universal. This cleanser, for example, by Sophie Pavitt, big fan. You really can't go wrong with it. It's amazing for super dry skin. Even if you do have oily skin, this is a good one too. So it's gonna be great for combination skin as well. You just wanna focus on something that's non-stripping and hydrating, because that's great for everyone. And maybe a moisturizer that's in between if you don't feel like using two. Second part of the question, can niacinamide cause purging, as well as just using a bunch of new skincare? Purging is a result of any type of ingredient that's going to increase the skin cell turnover rate. Essentially what that means, you can think of your epidermis, which is the outermost layer of the skin, so that is the skin that we see, as a sandwich. There's 5 layers to it. Now on the bottom of the sandwich is where mitosis is happening. That's where the skin cells are being created. So if we're using a product like retinol that is going to increase the skin cell turnover rate, that means that in that bottom layer of the skin, we're now increasing the rate of making those brand new skin cells, right? So skin cells sort of float up to the top. As they mature, as they go throughout their life, they eventually die at the top layer of the skin and then slough off naturally into the wind. And fun fact, a lot of times when you see dust particles just floating in the air or sort of collected in corners, that's almost always dead skin cells. They're all around us all the time because our skin is shedding all the time. A lot of times when we see acne on the skin, we think that maybe it's just formed over a couple days or a week, but that's not true. Acne usually takes about 12 weeks to form, so it could be several weeks or several months. This acne has been waiting to come up to the surface, which is why it's chronic and why it keeps coming. So at the base layer, when we're increasing the skin cell turnover rate, and that means that we're bringing up more new skin cells to the surface, that means that all of these little future acne breakouts that maybe would have happened in 3 months, they're happening all at once right now because they're super quickly being passed up layer by layer up to the surface. So that's why we see the breakouts and That's what purging is. Now, does niacinamide increase skin cell turnover rate? No. If you are experiencing purging from using a niacinamide, then most likely it may be another ingredient that's in the product. So in the same thought process, just using brand new skincare products would not necessarily cause a purge unless it is a product that has an ingredient that's going to increase the skin cell turnover rate. Most commonly, purging is associated with retinoids, such as tretinoin, adapalene, over-the-counter retinol, retinaldehyde, stuff like that. Okay, we're gonna answer the last question. And the fourth question was, how do you know if you have acne-prone skin? I feel like most people with acne-prone skin is skin that chronically has acne. Usually it's almost on a regimented cycle. You can expect maybe 3 breakouts each week. The acne tends to be red, sometimes it's painful, inflamed. They can be small too, a lot in clusters. If I'm interpreting your question correctly, it sounds more like you have sometimes get a pimple and you're trying to figure out if you have acne-prone skin and should treat it as such. I think if your acne is bothering you, then treat it as acne-prone skin, but gently. But if you just get a pimple here and there, it's not really super consistent and it doesn't bother you, I wouldn't quite classify you as having acne-prone skin, because I feel like everybody gets a pimple here and there. Everybody doesn't have acne-prone skin. Acne-prone skin is people that have it consistently and chronically, and usually there are significant emotional tolls with it as well. So if it's not really bothering you, it doesn't sound like you really have acne-prone skin, but I wouldn't be able to know unless I really looked at your skin and had a thorough conversation with you. That being said, quick plug, I do offer virtual consultations as well, especially for those that are dealing with acne. So if you'd like to be a part of my program, the link is in the description with more information on that. Like I said, if you're also in the New York City area and you are looking for in-person treatments, I'd love to meet you, and I'd love to help you out on your skincare journey. So again, the link is in the description, and feel free to email me if you do have any questions. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope if you submitted a question, it was answered. I'll see y'all in the next one. And I do have an updated skincare routine coming for y'all soon. One day, it'll be there. It'll be with us. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends. Please stay safe.